Started now.
All right, let's make sure we get all our participants in here. Everybody from the waiting room, we're going to pack it out tonight. January event, Team Made Real Estate. Everybody ready to learn something new and to hit a new year running. We're happy to have you join us tonight. It is a Monday night. There's lots of different places you guys can be. And each of us made a decision to be here tonight. So we're really happy to have you. We're going to be talking about the power of decision. We've got a really special guest coming to join us tonight. And we're also going to be talking about what's going to be happening in 2021 so that you can adjust your plan, your business model to be able to be on the winning side of what this next year has in store for us. I think we all have a pretty good idea of what 2020 was. I hope we all have a good idea about what 2021 is going to be. And I'm believing for a lot of you to have an amazing year compared to what happened last year. And, there's a lot of success stories from last year as well. And we're going to be hearing about those a little bit later. And we have a ton of great announcements to be making. So make sure you stick around right to the end because we've got some exciting stuff to let you know about. So we're going to move right ahead here, tell you guys a little bit about who we are in case you haven't heard about Team Made Real Estate. We love having guests. So if this is your first time out, we're really happy to have you join us tonight. We are the largest and only free real estate club in all of Manitoba. So we're just happy to have you join us today. Our meetings are free, and I think we all know nothing in life is really free. So we have some outstanding sponsors that help make this free to you so that you can learn. We believe the knowledge side and education side should be free, and that's why we host these meetings, not only once a month, but we have weekly meetings as well, because we want to help you bring as much value as possible to your business. So we're a group of like-minded investors, some contractors, service providers. It's a great place to build your power team of those that you need to help you. And that's kind of our event side. We all get together on an event side. And we also have an academy side. Now that's the side for those that say, hey, why did nobody in high school tell me that I could be a professional real estate investor? No one ever told me I could do that. Well, guess what, guys? We're telling you that you can do that. And some people are looking for the formal education side. And this isn't just sit down in class and learn. The education we like to offer is a mentorship program where you're guided every step of the way and you're handheld all the way to the end of getting your first deal done. So let's tell you a little bit more about the two sides that we have. I mentioned that we have the events side, and I mentioned that we also have the academy side. So on the events side, as we'll see in the next slide, we have our monthly meetings that we have. We have workshops, we have bus tours. It's a great place to meet and network and even find deals. There's tons of deals that happen within our group. And on the academy side, as I said before, we have a learning curve. And that's for people that really want the formal side of education. And we kind of have a 3-tier system. I sort of compare it to a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, and a PhD to become a successful real estate investor. And at every single one of those levels, we'll talk about it a little bit later, we guarantee that our students will get their first deal done. So you might say, wow, what a guarantee. Well, if you are looking for a little bit more information, we're going to show you what the virtual the virtual flyer that we have looks like on the next slide here. And it gives you an idea of who we are. We'd love it if you get in touch with us. Results at teammaderealestate.com. Send us your name, your phone number, your email. And, if you're wanting to learn about whatever's on the pamphlet here, more about buy and hold, you want to flip properties, so buy, fix, and sell. If you want to do rentals, the BRRRR strategy is very popular right now. Joint ventures, rent to own, negotiation. We're going to help you with whatever it is that you need to learn in real estate. So make sure you send us an email with whatever questions you have, and we're going to make sure that somebody gets in touch with you. We offer free strategy sessions one-on-one to anybody who's interested in having a strategy session and, getting to know a little bit more. What are my options in real estate right now? There's so many ways to win in real estate. We can't tell you there's one way, and we don't know what the right way is for you. And that's why we offer these strategy sessions to help you with that. So, people say, well, why do you get your first deal done? Why is there that assurance that you get your first deal done? Well, number one, because nobody makes that kind of commitment to you. And that's the commitment we make. As long as you keep working with us, we guarantee you're going to get that first deal done. And the reason we make that commitment is because when you have that first deal done, you're going to learn through the process with your mentor of the knowledge necessary. You're going to learn how to apply that knowledge. You're going to go through the experience of having your first deal. And there's going to be some fear. There's going to be a little bit of anxiety as you go through it. And that's why we want you to be mentored through the program so that you can overcome all of those challenges and then come out successful on the other side. That's important for us to see you have that success. And guess what happens, guys, when somebody has that success on their first deal? Well, they start building momentum. And once you have that momentum, you know, I've never had a student actually come to me and work with me and say, you know what, Nelson, thanks so much. I did so well on that first deal. I loved it. You know, I'm making money every month now. My net worth is growing every month, but I think that's it for me in real estate. I don't think I'm ever going to do another deal. You know, nobody's ever told me that. And that's what we like to see with our students, is that confidence that comes with the first deal so that they want to keep growing afterwards and become more independent and be able to do it on their own. So that's why that deal assurance comes in, is because we know you're going to feel great on the other side. But there's always going to be some people that say, well, no, but I can't do that. Well, that's why we have the academy in place. You know, there's so many things that limit us in life. And most of the things that limit us the most are really ourselves, things that we tell ourselves, because the more you tell yourself something, the more you believe it. And the words you choose in your vocabulary, the more you express them out loud, you know, others start believing it about you as well. And so we want you to make sure that you're using words that don't limit your success in life, because, you know, that leads to thoughts and that leads to emotions and then your relationships, and you start surrounding yourself. But on the other side as well, when you start believing in yourself, when you start believing that you can have the success that you'd like to have in real estate, all of a sudden you start surrounding yourself with people that believe in you as well, people that can help you, people that will encourage you in what you want to do. So, you know, I put this photo here at the bottom, Lifestyle by Design. I'll talk about that a little bit later. But that's really the title of one of my next books, and something I've built my whole life around. You'll see in the next slide that Lifestyle by Design, it's kind of like a mantra for my family. That's my beautiful wife and my 3 young kids. I affectionately refer to them as the Yahoos. And, you know, we bring the party wherever we end up, because there's just that much fun that comes along with it, that much energy, intensity. And that's the kind of way we roll. We love to enjoy life, and certainly not as spectators, and certainly as participants. We're on the field enjoying life. And so I encourage people, you know, picture your lifestyle that you want later in life. And what we do as mentors in Team Made Real Estate is we're going to help you reverse engineer that. So where are you going to be in 10 years? Let's start breaking that down now. Where are you going to be in 5 years? And what do we have to do to help you get there? Let's break it down to 1 year. All right, let's say, okay, in the next 12 months, how about in 6 months, maybe this quarter? And we start breaking it down until you get to a point where you have daily habits. And consistency wins the race, guys. It's, you know, life isn't a sprint. It's really a marathon. It's a journey. It's keeping on. And the process of learning is where that muscle is really built. And that can be business muscle or exercise or health, whatever you're doing. It's the process where the learning takes place that's the most valuable. So I encourage you guys to really think a little bit about what your lifestyle is, what you're hoping to design for yourself. And if you want a little more help, you've never had a chance to have a strategy session, get in touch with us. We'd love to have a strategy session with you and help kind of guide you towards that lifestyle that you want to create. So that's a little bit about us. Now what we want to do is, as I alluded before, we have some awesome sponsors, and they make these events free for you. So we love being able to have these events for free for you. We're having them virtually right now, but, you know, personally, I know I'm a handshake and hugs guy. I'm looking forward to networking with all of you guys again, hopefully soon. We keep saying on the other side. I haven't seen, like, you know, the criteria for when we're on the other side yet, but one way or another, I'm going to be on the other side, and I'm looking forward to seeing you guys on the other side when we can get together in person. One of our greatest sponsors is Daryl Walsh. He's just an outstanding individual. He's the one who encouraged me to grow out the, you know, the musketeer mustache and beard, my lockdown look. Not really, my beard doesn't compare to Daryl's, but he's just a great individual. He's an outstanding producer at Royal LePage, and we really love having him as part of the team. He knows the market inside and out, and he's going to be telling us a little bit more about the market later. We also have Brendan Mahatu. He's a lawyer with the Levine Tadman Golub Law Group, and he does a great job. He's an outstanding individual. I've really enjoyed chatting with him, getting to know him better. And, you know, the commitment he really has to seeing the success in his clients. He understands real estate. And if ever you get to hear him tell his story, he knew at 5 years old that he wanted to be a real estate lawyer. Not many people say that at 5 years old. Not one of my 3 children ever said they wanted to be a real estate lawyer when they were 5. So he's got a great story. Jazz Saini is also a great member of our team. You know, he's an accountant and he's got a good team. If you're looking for help, that should be a member of your power team. You need to have a good accountant on your power team. So important. Ray does magic with photography. Ray Penner is a really good friend of mine. And he just did our family photos in the last couple of months ago and did just an outstanding job. And if somebody can find a way to get a good photo of me, you know that they're a good photographer. So he does just a great job. I encourage you, if you're looking to get family photos, headshots, business photos, he does property photos, get in touch with Ray. Christian Narciso from Visual Media, he does a great job in shooting video, and the world is just transitioning to a place where we want video all the time. So we're going to be going closer and closer to video all the time to make things more real. Let me just double check. Keith, did we have an update from Brendan? I never stopped to ask and if there was an update from him that he wanted to share with us.
No, he didn't have an update. He just wanted a real friendly plug for his business. So that's all he asked for.
Well, hopefully he got that on my behalf. Sometimes, you know, we have different sponsors that are here. So if I'm skipping over you and I don't see you in the audience, we got quite a few people here and a lot watching live. Make sure you just let us know and don't worry about interrupting. We'd love to hear what you have to say if any of you are out there right now. Garrett Wong from Upper Edge Property Management, outstanding individual. He's been in property management for years. And some landlords really enjoy handing off their investments to be managed professionally. And Garrett certainly knows how to do that with Upper Edge. If you do want to get in touch with him, please do so. He does complimentary RTB checks for possible tenants that you're looking to rent to see if there's ever been any public hearings or their name comes up in a search. You're welcome to get in touch with him to do that. That's something he offers for free. And also a market evaluation of your suite. If you want to have a good idea of what could I possibly charge for rent on this and get a second opinion, you can get in touch with him with some photos and a description of what your suite is, and he can give you comparables for the market for what he believes that a fair market rent would be for your property. Alvin Bally from Caesarstone Canada and Dulux Paints. How many of us know here that almost every project we have is going to involve some work, right? And that can be countertops, that can be painting, it's often painting. And so it's great to have someone on our team in that area to be able to help with some of those materials. Entrepreneur Society International, well, we know that real estate investors are entrepreneurs, and we want people to know that entrepreneurship is a viable way to live your life. I mean, I don't think I even knew what the word entrepreneurship was until I was probably 20, 21 years old. Nobody had ever taken the time to explain to me. I was an entrepreneur already, but nobody had ever called it that, and I didn't know that's what it was. So it's great to know now, with the world being such a small place, that we can connect. Especially being a small world now, internationally, we can connect with all kinds of business owners and entrepreneurs from all over the world. And finally, Mike Reimer, you'll hear a little bit more from him later, but Mike Reimer and Corey Flaming, they're from Vulcan Construction, and they run a great construction crew. So we all know that renovation projects are important, new builds, and having somebody on your team who can help you out, giving you competitive quotes, who's got experience in the industry, is always going to help and advance your team and do well. So before I go any further, I want to take a minute just to introduce my colleague who's going to be speaking right away here and introduce our guest speaker. Keith Gordon's also a certified coach with Teammade Real Estate. He's also our resident tech expert. If it plugs in, he knows how to work it. And he's an expert in working it. So we just love having Keith as part of the team. He's got a cornucopia of experience as well in real estate investing, everything from doing flips in the US, all the way to buy and holds and flips here in Canada. He's familiar with every type of strategy. So we just love having him on the team. And Keith, I invite you to tell us a little bit more about our special guests that we've got today.
Thank you very much, Nelson. Yes, so tonight we're going to be hearing from Leah Binkley on the power of goals and decisions. And let's see here. Leah is a personal and professional development coach who works with leaders in both individual and team settings to help them more deeply understand themselves and to create transformational impact in their lives. Now, wouldn't you all like some transformational impact in your lives? Now, Leah brings a wealth of experience elevating the potential of people throughout her 20-plus year career as the owner of multiple businesses, a team leader, a team member, a mentor, and a coach. Leah holds a bachelor's degree in psychology from the University of Winnipeg, graduate certificates as an executive and leadership coach from Certified Coaches Federation, and an ACC accreditation with the Accelerating Coach Excellence Program. And I'm pleased to call her my friend. So please help me welcome Leah. And if you say something, Leah, then you'll show up on the screen.
Yeah, thanks, Keith. That was great. Thank you very much. What we want to be able to do right now is to be able to show a video, but I think everything that Nelson said, Nelson, you did a great introduction there. You really intrigued me. It kind of outlines a lot of what coaching is, and I look forward to digging into this conversation a little bit further. So Keith, would you like to play the video for us?
Certainly.
I left on my quest for the mountain of should because I should. I just thought that I should, and I should. Many had journeyed, all said it's the way, seemed foolish to question and hard to escape this feeling I had like a debt to be paid. Of course I had doubts, but I kept them at bay by telling the world that today is the day I will climb the mountain of should because I should. I just thought that I should, and I should. You shouldn't go unless you're prepared. One friend said to me, there's danger out there. I don't mean to scare you, but you should be scared. Because you should, because I am, and you should. I tried to get ready, but it was a lot. So many things to be learned and be bought. All sorts of supplies and provisions to make, and books to be read, and courses to take, and facts to be learned for knowledge's sake. No room for error, no room for mistake, and even then I still felt like a fake. I'll never be ready, so why should I care? But everyone there just grimaced and stared. Don't act so abused. It's called paying your dues. This is fair, and just like the rest, you should care. So I cared. I cared because I was scared, and I should. I thought I should care, and I should. So off I went with my pack full of stuff, which felt like too much and I hoped was enough. There was one way to go, and that way was up. On the mountain of should, the path could be rough, but that's okay, because it should be tough. It should be hard. It shouldn't be easy. Your body should ache, your stomach feel queasy, and that's how I felt going up every day. For months, for years, I traveled this way because I should. Because I knew that's the way it should feel, and I should, and it should, and I should, and it should, and I should, and it should, and I should. Where are you going? One monk said to me climbing higher, her shooting the breeze. I'm climbing the mountain of should, can't you see that I should, and I should, and I should? But why are you climbing? Where will you go? What will you find? When will you know? What will you gain from reaching the top of a mountain which frankly just doesn't stop? When will you stop? When will you see? When will you pause? When will you breathe? Not now, you old fool. There's no stopping me. There's no truth to your words. You're just jealous, I see, 'cause you can't, but you should, and I should. Higher and higher I reached for the top of the mountain that just wouldn't stop. Every day I came closer to the summit I craved, but each time I looked, it seemed farther away, so harder and harder I pressed myself more, though every step felt like a chore. Though every morning I woke up with dread, and each night was filled with strange thoughts in my head, the more higher I went, the more tired and spent I would feel from my head right down to my heels, so tired I couldn't quite tell what was real. For sitting one day and resting my feet, I thought to myself, when will I be complete? And then came a thought that I found quite defeating. Do I even know what it is that I'm seeking? I climb because I should, but where am I going? And is that place worth this weight that I'm towing? It was then that the old monk's words spoke to me. It was then that I stopped. I paused, and I breathed. And just like that, I was able to see hundreds of mountains, thousands of peaks, millions of shoulds that everyone seeks. All of us climbing, our goal to ascend, missing the moment to get to the end. And when will it end? And where are we going? And what are these truths that we all should be knowing? What are these shoulds that we're told, that we feel? How can something that's not real feel so real? What if they're nothing? In our heads, just a voice. What if they're wrong and we all have a choice? With my shoulds all released, I found with relief my need to climb higher was just a belief. And if I decided to stop, then I could. Not I should. I decided to stop, and I could. And as soon as I stopped, I was delighted to find that the distance I'd traveled was all in my mind. The crumbled should mountain now nowhere in sight. Now hundreds of roads, each one of them right. Each with their losses, each with their wins, each was a story that I could begin. And without all those shoulds, I felt good. I feel good. I'm choosing my path, and I'm good.
So the reason that I wanted to be able to play that video is because a lot of times when we're going to be making decisions, we come to it from a should perspective. And what I wanted you to think about is, where are you coming from in this decision-making process, or any decisions that you're making in your life? Are you following a path that you should, or are you following a path that is authentic to you? So what I want to be able to do is, Keith and I are just kind of have a conversation around this, because I know this is a conversation that he and I often have. It gets into a lively conversation, but I wanted to have a dialogue with Keith, and hopefully if anyone else has something that they want to add to this, I would love to be able to interact that way. But for you to figure out what path you're going to go on, how do you know where do you want to go? And until you know where you want to go and what you want, how do you start? And once you figure that out, like the video showed, there are endless ways to get there, but it has to be true to your values. But when you finally figure out what it is that you want to do, and you're all here for some reason, and it must be real estate, is that something that you're interested in interested in and really intrigued by? It sounded very interesting to me. So, excuse me. So if that's something that you're interested in, why do you want to pursue it? That is something that you need to really identify within yourself. Does it meet the values that you bring? Are you pursuing it because it's a should, or are you pursuing it because it's something that you genuinely want to do? So when you're doing something, it has to be, in order to be able to actually grow from it, in order for you to actually pursue something of value and that feels authentic to you, and really drives your passion, you can't do it within your comfort zone. So it's got to be something that you've never done before to help you grow, as the points point out here. If you know how to reach it, it's not a good goal because you've already done it. Unless, of course, that's something that you've actually grown and gotten to, and now you can coach others on how to do it. You need to be inspired for a goal that you really want. It's a mindset as well. So whatever you need to want to attract, you're going to, or want to go after, you will attract those aspects. Keith, do you have anything you want to add to that or point out?
Well, yeah, just in talking about goals there. So there was an example that Bob Proctor gave in talking where, he had someone who came to him and they said, well, I've got this goal. And the guy, Bob Proctor asked, well, what was the goal? It's like, well, I want a new Pontiac. And Bob's like, not an especially interesting goal, but okay, fair enough. And what kind of car do you drive now? And the guy goes, Pontiac. Bob's like, oh, okay. How long ago did you get it? 4 years. Did you buy it new? Yep. Bob says, it's not a very good goal then. You already know how to achieve that goal. There's no growth in it. You just replicate what you did last time and you get another new Pontiac. It's not going to achieve anything for you. So, those goals, as you said, they have to be something that's like a stretch goal. It has to be something that it's like, I'm unsure how to achieve it. If I want it to be something really life-changing, if I want it to be something that really, if you're inspired by something, it's okay that you don't know how to do it. I think a lot of people limit themselves with that. I can't set a goal if I don't know how to achieve it. Like, I don't know how to become prime minister, so I can't have that as a goal.
Mm-hmm.
But if you make a decision, it's like you want to be prime minister, well, you'll start to attract the things that you need to achieve that.
Mm-hmm. So on the next slide, so in order to be able to go after what you want, it can't be a vague goal. And so I just wanted to gloss over in that first slide is because those are essentially what you want to do. You want to be able to go after something that you want to be clear on what you want, but you also have to realize that there's something really satisfying about challenging your comfort zone. Sure, you can do something that you're used to, but is that something that you're really going to stick to if it's something that you want to go at, that you perhaps need to change to go after? Change is actually a huge part of this. So if you have a goal that you want to go after and it sits in your comfort zone, there is no growth opportunity there. There's also no real passion behind it either, because you're already there. What you need to be able to do is to go into your fear zone and discover what are you thinking about that? What are your limiting beliefs? And then take yourself into the learning zone, which is an evolving belief, and then your growth zone, which is empowering, and you eventually get to what you want. So an example is, I have a friend whose son wants to go into the NBA. But he didn't want to go to the NBA camp because he felt like, well, I'm not going to be good enough. So what he needed to do was get out of his comfort zone in order to get what he wanted. But there's those stages in between there. There's the fear zone, there's the learning zone, and there's the growth zone. So what were his limiting beliefs? That he wasn't good enough to be able to do it. So why go to this camp? So he needed to get through the fear zone and get to the learning zone, which goes, I am going to be doing the best I can. And then he'll get to a point where now I got to the growth zone. I mean, this comes with practice and repetition, but he eventually gets to the growth zone. And what happens? Now he's got some empowering beliefs because that was hard to do. Now it's really stuck with him. It was a really worthy goal, and now he's really grown. So now he's got all of these skills, and look how much he stretched himself. And now all these things, he's no longer in that fear zone. He's no longer in that comfort zone. He challenged himself to another level. Now maybe he actually can take those skills forward and actually get what he wants. But he's got his eye on the prize. And that's a real big part of this, is you have to be really passionate about what you want. Because if your heart isn't in it, if your goal is very vague, then your heart's not going to get behind it and push you there. And that's what you really need. So then what's on the next slide?
Decisions. We get to decisions.
Okay.
Right.
Decisions are your driver. You're not going to get anywhere without making a decision. And so decisions can be either ambivalent, that's going to keep you in place. And what that means is that, sure, successful people, they're decision makers, which means that if you're faced with a challenge or a decision, what are you going to do with it? Are you going to decide to go for it? Or are you going to go somewhere where you're going to go for it, or you're not going to go for it? So you're going forward, or are you going backwards? Are you not making a decision at all? So where does that take you? You're standing in the same place. So
yeah, and in fact, not making a decision even is a decision.
Exactly.
You've decided to do nothing.
Exactly. But think about it this way. If you are really passionate about the goal that you want to go after, decisions are so much easier. I'll tell you on my path, I've been in many positions where I need to make a lot of decisions, but the ones that were the easiest decisions to make were when I was very, very clear on my goal. There was nothing that was going to stop me because I was so excited and so clear and so focused on what I wanted to do. And the thing is, decisions aren't about getting them perfect every time. Decisions are about if you are very, very clear on what it is that you actually want to be able to do, and you can almost taste it, that decision. It's like a movie playing in your head all the time. If that resonates with you and your heart is behind it, you're passionate about it, you'll understand the decisions that you need to make, and you'll understand the decisions that actually don't quite fit the focus, the direction that you need to go. You just kind of instinctively know that it's not going to work.
Yeah.
Because
And,
it doesn't fit.
and people get so afraid of making a decision because they're afraid of failure. That's one of the things that tends to go on in our society is we become conditioned recently to this fear of failure. Nobody wants to stick their head up and fail at something. But if you go back to like Edison, I mean, what did he say? It's like he was passionate about making a light bulb and he failed 10,000 times on the way to making a light bulb. But he didn't call it 10,000 failures. He called it, I figured out 10,000 ways that did not successfully make a working light bulb.
Exactly.
And eventually he made a decision that worked and he had a working light bulb and the world was changed.
That's right. Decisions and goal seeking, it's all about trial and error, to be totally honest. But no decision is wrong if you really know what the end result is. It's just you need to try. And that's really ultimately what a decision is just trying, dipping your toe in the water and saying, is it the right temperature for whatever it is
Yeah.
I'm going after?
The second bullet point there is like, yeah, don't be afraid to decide. The people who are successful throughout history, they may have differed in just about every other aspect, but one thing that they were almost all the same on was that they made decisions, and they often made them quickly. They decided where they were with what they had, whatever information they had, and if it didn't work out, well, they just as quickly made another decision and corrected course.
That's right, exactly. I mean, and that's, I always say within the positions that I'm in, if I'm surrounded by people who are not willing to make a mistake, I'm not sure I want them on my team because how do you advance without trying? And so that is something that I've really learned trial and error from a younger age, trying to do everything perfect so I didn't look foolish, to realizing that stands you still. So when I finally got clear on the image and the passion for that image, there was nothing stopping me, and the decisions along the way were actually so much easier, and the failures along the way made sense to me. It just meant, okay, so that doesn't work, but at least now I'm closer to what does work.
Yeah. Shall we go to the next slide here?
Yeah.
Okay.
So if there's something that you're working towards, just keep that in mind. But this is something that is probably my favorite thing to ever talk about, and it's the reticular activating system. And this is something that's I will just read it out there so I don't fumble on this one, but the reticular activating system, RAS for short, is a bundle of nerves at our brainstem that filters out unnecessary information so the important stuff gets through. Now, important is subjective. So and that's why you learn a new word and begin hearing it everywhere. It's why you immediately snap to attention when someone says your name in a crowded room with loads of background noise. It's what your mind, your consciousness is focused on because you told it that's what's important. So it takes what you focus on and creates a filter, and then it sifts through the data and presents only the pieces important to you. So it seeks information to validate your beliefs and filtering through the world through parameters you provide, and your beliefs shape those parameters. So with that said, are you trying to make decisions? Are you trying to set goals based on limiting beliefs? Are you not following through on your goals because of limiting beliefs? Are you trying to set goals that you may have found every reason and every opportunity to say that's not going to work, and that's not why. It's just not gonna, I can't do it. Well, it's because this RAS is actually working in your favor of whatever it is that you are telling it is important to you, which is I'm not a good public speaker, so therefore you won't be. And it will find within that room and with any evidence to prove you right, because you told it that's what's important to you. So this is something that serves us because there's so much stimuli in a room, you can't possibly absorb it all at one time. I don't even want to imagine what could happen. It would just be overload. So what this does is it actually is a good thing that serves us because it helps reduce the overstimulation and helps you focus. But what the problem is, if it is a problem for you, is what is it focusing on? So for instance, you could be in a room right now that you might not have noticed the color blue until I just told you to. So we can all be in the same room, and each of us, depending on whatever is important to us, will have noticed something entirely different. So what is your perspective and what is your subconscious? What are your beliefs telling you that your RAS system is filtering for you to just completely reinforce that it can't be done, or it can be?
I almost wish I had the video here. I'm sure you're familiar with it, Leah, but if you haven't, it's the famous university study, the gorilla experiment. It's essentially a basketball game, 5 players in white, 5 players in black, and they're passing the ball amongst themselves.
Yeah.
Half the group was told, count the number of passes that go to white jerseyed players. The other half were told, count the passes that go to black jerseyed players. At the end of it, the group was asked, how many of you saw the fellow in the gorilla suit that walked through the middle of the court during the exercise? And it was like nobody in the study was able to remembered seeing the gorilla because they were so focused. Their RAS was only looking for passes that went to the players they were told to look for.
Exactly.
So that's the power of the reticular activating system. It's
Power of
incredible.
mind. So basically, in a mystical sense, if you want to be able to put it, this is a very scientific explanation to why it's really important what you think about, because what you think about, you'll bring about. It's the universal, what's the word? It's escaping me at the moment. Energy in, energy out. There's, I'm going to completely forget it and scramble it right now, so I won't carry
Here,
on.
how about I just jump to the next slide? How about that?
Yeah.
The power of thought.
Power of thought. So to sum that up is that your thoughts, you are the sum total of your thoughts. Law of attraction. Thank you very much.
Valen to the rescue.
Yeah. So it's very important that you really understand that you do have so much power to bring to you what it is that you want. So with the RAS system, who's working in your favor of whatever you're thinking, it wants to be able to serve you. So if you decide that your goals are not being met because, well, RAS just reinforced for you, well, I knew I couldn't do it. That just showed me I couldn't do it. Or I'm going after my goals because I know I can do it. And this is exactly what I want to be able to do. So if you can build a mental picture of exactly what it is that you want, like a moving picture, where you can almost smell it and see it and taste it, touch it, just completely create a visual image in your mind where you can almost be there. That is probably the best way to actually define what it is that you're going after, because it will help you make decisions towards your goal. It'll help you realize it. But if you can live it in a way where it's happening now, even better, because now you can actually just say, filter out anything that's coming into your life doesn't fit that picture. You'll know how to navigate around that and find the other things that actually do work for that. So there's a mental picture, and there's a reason there's a lemon on there.
Yeah, I was gonna say, do you want me to tell this to do do the exercise?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, so I would actually like everybody here, panelists, attendees as well. I need you to close your eyes for me for a second. Now, I want you to close your eyes right where you are. Now you're going to walk into your kitchen. Can you see your kitchen? And you walk over to the fridge. Open up that fridge, and down there in the fruit and vegetable section, you've got a lemon. You take that lemon out, take it over, place it on your countertop, on your cutting board. Get a knife out of the drawer, a nice sharp knife. Slice that lemon in half. Now that you've got it in half, you then cut it again, turn one of those halves, cut it into a nice quarter. And take that quarter of lemon, and you're going to pick it up and see how juicy it is, shining there in the sunshine coming in your kitchen window. Now you stick that into your mouth and you take a really hard bite on it. And you just taste that really fresh lemon, the juices into your mouth like that. Smell the lemon, taste the lemon. Now, right now, all of you should actually be experiencing something going on with your mouth. You'll actually be reacting physically to a thought exercise that we're doing. You'll be reacting as if you actually had almost bit into a lemon. You'll be salivating. You'll actually have that sensation. So that is actually a physical manifestation of nothing more than the power of thought.
How many of you actually saw your own knife, your own cutting board, your own kitchen, everything that actually was all you, everything personal to you while you were doing that exercise? I mean, I can't see any of you guys to answer. Make an assumption.
Well, here, I'll put my hand up.
Okay, thanks. So with that, that's the kind of clarity that you need to come up with for whatever it is your goal is. Is it going to be real estate and working with this organization here that can help you do that? That is something that is really powerful, to be able to have a team behind you to frame that for you and to help you on that path. And if it's not for you, or if it is for you, you'll understand that by having a really strong picture of what feels authentic to you and passionate for you in the direction that you want to be able to go. So when you've got that, you can make decisions and try and stay away from negativity. Try not to look for the I can't do it, because I'll tell you, if you've created a picture and you can talk yourself out of it, that goal wasn't important. It just wasn't important enough to you. So that's a really good navigating tool right there, is to understand if you can talk yourself out of it, then it wasn't worth it to you, not worth it enough to you. So there's, if you want to go to the next slide. Yeah. So in order to, once you've got your goals and once you've decided that you're not going to let negativity get in the way, you have to be able to understand what kind of habits do you have already in place that you want to be able to either retrain or reframe or continue to do. It depends on, is it serving you? So if something is serving you to help you get to that path, keep that going, make it a ritual. If you are not, if you're finding that there's some habits that you've got that are in the way of your success, then find a way to be able to find a ritual, a healthy ritual that helps you on your path. And is it going to be, for instance, we have here a list of 6, which is something that, yes, exactly. Are your habits serving you? So is this list of 6, if you are looking for, we often do goal setting with list making. And sometimes list making is one of those things that we put everything on there. And I do. I love to be able to cross something off my list. That is just something that just feels so good to me. But I get a lot of the stuff that's not important, the stuff that's actually going to distract me from the day. So this list of 6 here is something that can actually really almost accelerate your goal setting, your tasks that you need to do to be able to set yourself up and get you in the right direction.
It really maximizes your efficiency just by doing it properly. Nelson had actually set this up too. He said, you know, you have a goal for 10 years from now, and then you break it down. Well, what does that look like for 5 years from now? What does that look like in a year? What does that look quarterly? Now
Mhm.
down to the month, the week, the day, break it down to the hour.
Yeah.
And this list of 6, so it actually comes from going back to Napoleon Hill. And there's a story about, essentially, there's a consultant by the name of Ivy Lee. He was an efficiency expert, and he went to see Charles Schwab, who was the head of a steel company. Now, Lee said that he could do something in 20 minutes for the steel company that would increase the owner of the steel company's efficiency by 50% in 20 minutes. So this is something very practical that we can all do. Write down on a piece of paper the 6 most important things you have to do tomorrow. Now, this is after we've already set the goals, so we know what those 6 important things are going to be. Now you want to number them in order of importance. Now, here's the critical element. Tomorrow, when you get up, you take out that piece of paper, you only look at item number 1, and you start working on it, and if possible, stay with that item number 1 until it's completed. Do not even move on to item number 2 until you're done number 1. If you've done it properly, if you've set your goals, your 10-year, 5-year, 1-year, quarterly, monthly, weekly, daily, if you've set your goals properly, then you've got the stuff in the right order, and you deal with that most important thing, your efficiency will skyrocket. Because in this principle, the idea of taking things one at a time in their proper order will actually lead to a successful life.
Mhm.
It's one successful day built on another for the rest of our lives. It's a successful life. And if you do that, it's guaranteed. You can't have an unsuccessful life.
Exactly. And so that's an excellent tool to be able to take forward here. The other part of that is that's a habit to also build. And so if you're not adapting or adopting habits that help you meet your goal, you might be getting in your own way. So that's a great tool to be able to use to be able to set yourself up for success. In an organized way of success. But again, you need to have your clear picture in front of you. But let me just tell you that when it comes to changing habits or changing behaviors, that can happen. It can happen very easily. But why is it happening is if you understand your goal and why you're going to pursue the goal, the pursuit and the motivation to be able to change those habits for habits that actually put you in the trajectory towards what you're after, it can happen. For instance, if you were trying to write with your left hand and you've never done that before, that doesn't happen just by doing it once and then it sticks. You need to practice that all the time so it becomes habit. It becomes routine. So you can make that your ritual. But you can write with your left hand if you stick with it long enough. And that's the kind of repetition that you need to apply in order to be able to make something stick, in order for you to believe you can do it. Does that make sense? So believing you can do something is overriding what you originally believed you couldn't do. So if you can go into constantly repetition, remind yourself exactly of what it is you want, repeat that to yourself. Is there a life script that you need to write for yourself that actually will override maybe limiting beliefs that you have? Is there a mantra that you want to be able to say on a regular basis that will help rewire your RAS system, for instance, to say, I want to look for this stuff and this is why, and because I believe that. That is something that is attainable to anybody if you stick with it and you repeat it and you adopt it as ritual for yourself. So anything you would
Awesome.
like to
I think at this point, we'll ask if anyone in the attendance has any questions. If you want to throw them into the chat, Leah would be happy to answer them. And while folks are doing that, Leah, if people want to learn more, how do they get in touch with you? I know you do professional development work and personal development work with people.
Yeah. Well, you can,
Should I put your email in the chat here?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. You can reach me at leahbinkley@gmail.com. I also sent Keith a document of the change process that outlines a series of things to think about when it comes to if you're ready to make some change and ready to make some decisions. And also it's got my contact information. If you have questions, I'd be happy to talk with you.
Yeah, so what I will do is I will actually make a point of adding that to the email that goes out to everyone that was in attendance here tonight.
Sure.
It's an automated email that comes out of Zoom, but I will go in there and attach this to it
Excellent.
so that everyone has that. All right. So Ray Penner asks, do you recommend a book to help further study or understand the topic?
Well, one that keeps coming up is Think and Grow Rich is an excellent book because it's something that is, I don't know one person who's successful in the business world in particular who has not picked up that book and read it. I don't have any, I mean, that was really at the top of my mind, but I don't have a specific book other than that at the moment, unfortunately. I'll be happy to email some ideas if you want to reach out to me.
Yeah, and I was going to say the fellow that I've been studying through my professional development is Bob Proctor, and he's got his book Born Rich, which is similar, mindset stuff. I mean, Bob Proctor has been reading Think and Grow Rich every day since 1963.
Yeah, and the thing about Bob Proctor's writings is he admittedly says it's not original content. He has been sourcing and studying people forever, that this content is proven essentially. So he's sharing what already works.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Leah. We really appreciate you taking the time. And if folks want to get in touch with you, your email is there in the chat. So it's leahbinkley@gmail.com. And I know you've got other stuff to do tonight, so you're going to beg off.
Yeah.
And we're going to continue on with the more, meat and potatoes real estate stuff.
I'll have fun with it. It sounds like a very fun topic. So carry on. It was lovely to be here.
Okay.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Okay, so now we move on to the January 2021 Realtor Report. And Daryl Walsh is actually in the midst of doing an offer. He just told me, so he is not able to hop on. So I can take you through it, or Nelson can take you through it. Which would you prefer, Nelson?
Well, I can go through it if you want, Keith. You can take a quick
Sure.
little break here and then we'll pop you back in afterwards. I can't do it as well as Daryl. I'm going to tell everybody now I'll do my best, but I don't know if Leah's still here or she's not. I just want to say a big thank you for Leah to come out. It's maybe not directly real estate related what she was speaking about, but the mindset is really important. The rewiring of the RAS and recognizing how you think and thinking about what you think. And really taking control of that is a powerful mechanism of mindset. I talk a lot about it in my new book called Lifestyle by Design, and the importance that you have to rewire. There's so many people that live with a victim mentality in life, and they would rather be victims of life rather than victors, and take charge of the authorship of their rights, of their lives. And I just think that it's a great way to sort of think about how you can rewire yourself when you make that commitment. So anyone who's looking for help with that, it sounds like Leah would be a great asset to being able to do that. And I think we all know the importance of professional and personal development in this group. So we know that 2020 was not an expected year in terms of how the market performed. We had a late spring, as they say, with the Rona, and we saw the real estate market hit a little bit late in spring, but it didn't stop. It was almost like spring carried all through the rest of 2020, and even to this day now, there is so little volume on the market. I'm sure most of us here that are in the call tonight know that there's very little volume on the market. And so that presents a lot of opportunities for those on the selling side, and also presents opportunities on the private market. So here we kind of have a breakup of, you know, all the different markets in Winnipeg. Everyone's a little bit different. And I like the way that Daryl broke this up here for average price points. And there's a lot of factors that are taken to play, everything from new builds to areas where there's more commonly infills. I think we need to take all of that into consideration when we're looking. And even within each of these, you know, 5 sections of the city, or I guess even 6 with the downtown section there, there's also sub-regions within. And that's why when I'm working with my students, I always say, start as an expert in a very small area and then start working your way out from what you want to be your neighborhood. So let's move forward here with what Daryl's provided for us. This is going to be a surprise for me, so I'm kind of going to wing it as I go. Keith, don't hesitate to help me as we go. So the average price, I'm not surprised. I think just before Christmas, it was about $246. We're at $346. We're at $342 now, which is quite a bit higher. That's over, you know, $20,000 higher than where we were last year. So we're up quite a bit on the average price. Attached houses a little bit lower, and then condos still very high for condos, but a little bit less. But we did see quite a few sales in condos, more than I expected to see, at 149. And active listings, there was 925 and 608 sales. So, you know, a good chunk of what was on the market did sell and sold very quickly.
Yeah, that's frightening, because if we talk about what a normal market is, a balanced market, we're looking at 2.5, 3 months supply, something like that. And like this is a 15-day supply. Yeah,
if you look at the attached, there was only 100 listings, and how many of them sold? 90.
That's a 6 day supply. Yeah.
So we have very little on the market in terms of volume right now. It's a great time to sell if someone wants to sell, but you know, as buy and hold investors, very often we don't want to sell because we know that the value is really in the wealth and holding the real estate. So let's keep moving forward here. As we said, that for the detached homes, 342 was the average, and then the average square foot is a little bit higher than what I expected, 1363. So anybody who can do math pretty quick, I think we're getting close to 300. We're probably around $280 a square foot. I didn't do the math on that. I'm just kind of ballparking it. Somebody put it in the chat there for what that works out to on average on square foot. I don't know if my estimate's close to 280. You got it there, Vishal?
Here's our year to date.
Yeah, so year to date, we're at 341, again, is the average. So we're very much in line with what we were seeing in December and what we're seeing now on the year to date. Very, very similar. So we're not seeing a lot of change there. We're on this kind of stagnant trajectory, which is good to anticipate. In Winnipeg, as we've seen in the past, we just seem to be always right around that kind of just slow and steady growth. And you know, real estate, some people say, well, it's pretty boring in Winnipeg, but that's where people get wealthy, is when it's boring, right? Real estate should be boring. If you're up and down like a yo-yo making offers and emotional and everything, it's maybe not the right industry for you. It should be boring for you once you buy your asset, go to sleep for 10 years. I challenge you, and see what happens just in 10 years with one property, and you'll be very surprised.
Yeah. Ray and Vishal tell us it's 250 a square foot there.
You know, Nelson, that's when you make that comment, that makes me think of the Toronto and Vancouver market. Someone will buy, Nelson, and then government regulations will change, mortgage rules will change, and huge swings. And you say you have a flip going, your budget just got thrown out of whack, with government regulations coming in to always touching things. But in Winnipeg, I noticed you buy something, it's pretty steady, stable, boring increase. So it's easy to predict what your future is going to be in our market than those hot, sexy bubbles of those other markets. That's why I like the Winnipeg one more.
Absolutely. Totally agree with that. So here we are at the attached side. So this would be more like townhouses or building that are stuck together. Sometimes it's 2, sometimes it's 3, 4, or 5. We're a little bit lower on the price point there, but the average square footage is actually very similar to what we were seeing in the detached in December. And I'm assuming the year to date is probably going to be quite similar to that. Actually a little bit lower. Okay, so we're looking at about 15 grand lower, and the square footage is still quite similar. Condos, we're at the 235 mark. So then here we're closer to $235 a square foot. And that was in December. And let's see how that compares to our year to date now. So we're a little bit higher, but again, we're very close to that same amount in the square footage. So 235 to 240 a square foot is what we're seeing on the average in condos. Again, averages, that's taking into consideration something that's in maybe a little less favorable C neighborhood, something all the way into an A+ neighborhood. So averages is a very dangerous word. Sometimes you need to apply this to your region. This is something we see quite commonly. If you take a good look at the bottom half there, you'll see that over half of the market is really in that section from 250 all the way up to 450. We can even include from 200 on, and that makes up 2/3 of the entire buyer's market. Between 200 and 450, that's for sure 2/3 of the entire market out there. So, you know, people always say, well, where should I be in the flip if I want to do a flip? I always tell my students, you best being somewhere around that $299.99 mark, even up to $349. But once you get higher than that, you're getting outside of that really heavy market where most of the people are shopping. And as real estate investors, we know we want to be offering the product that the most people want to be able to have a large pool of buyers that are interested in it. And it looks like the largest one there is probably the 15 and 15%. So they're between the two of them, they make up 30%, right between 250 and 350 seems to be the real sweet spot there. So Daryl can't be with us. He's hustling and doing deals. Apparently he's not too happy about 2020. I think we're all looking forward to a great 2021. But you know what? We are going to hear a lot of great success stories later from people that did exceptionally well in 2020. You know what? There's no room for excuses in life and results. You can have one or the other, but not both. So we're going to hear about a lot of results in 2020 as we get to the end. But big thank you to Daryl Walsh, of course, for sending the market summary to us so that we can see what's been taking place in December 2020 and what we're expecting year to date.
Okay, so again, Brendan Mahatu, our legal sponsor. I spoke to Brendan earlier today. He can't be with us, but if anyone is in need of an attorney for anything real estate related, Brendan is your guy, and there's his contact information up there on the screen for folks who need to take it down. Brendan is also the fellow who prepared all of the contracts and joint venture agreements, all of the legal documentation that comes with the Teammate Academy package. So it's all been drafted right here in Manitoba, applies to Manitoba, the laws in Manitoba. So there's the plug for Brendan.
Awesome. So I'm going to get right into a really short forecast for 2021 because a lot of people have been asking me, Nelson, what should I be doing? Should I be buying? Should I be holding? Should we be selling right now? I remember about a year ago, we had another meeting, maybe it was in February, and we had talked after, you know, we kind of had an idea of what was going on with the pandemic, about what was the plan. And at that point, you know, what I was encouraging people to do strongly was get into a strong capital position. Because with that strong capital position, you have a way of being able to pivot. But now that 2021's upon us, I think that there's going to be a lot of changes. I've been listening to what a lot of different economists have been saying. I've been reading a lot of articles, like I'm sure all of you have. None of us has a crystal ball of exactly what's going to be taking place, but there are some certainties and some variables that we do need to take into consideration as real estate investors for things that will be happening. So many are forecasting that the growth in values of what we're seeing in real estate are going to continue. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to be talking about how less and less people are going to be going to office jobs as they have in the past, and that just may never be the same again. We're going to talk about more unemployment that we've got right now, and that is continuing to be on the rise as offices more and more see that, you know, absence of people didn't disrupt their business as much as they thought it would. We're going to know, I think we all know that because of the enormous government debt that was taken on in the last year, we are going to have to repay that in taxes. So how do we prepare for that as real estate investors? And also an anticipated higher wage increase. So we're going to talk about that in the next few slides and hopefully help you adjust your business model as we move forward. So first and foremost, it's going to be the growth that we're talking about. Many agree they're anticipating an 8 to 10% projected increase in housing values. That is huge, 8 to 10%, especially if you start talking about double digits like that. let's just imagine on a portfolio of $10 million, that's a net worth increase of 800,000 to up to $1 million with complete passive equity growth there. And that's, you know, that's not even considering any of the mortgage pay downs. That's not considering the rent that's coming in. That's not considering any of the tax savings. That's an enormous amount of net worth. And that transfer of net worth is going to disproportionately affect those with assets, right? When we go into a period of hyperinflation or strong property values increasing, it disproportionately is in favor of those with assets. Because if you have a $10 million portfolio growing in value, you're going to have that growth. But if you don't have assets, you don't. So this is a great year to get into real estate if you haven't yet got any assets. And you may say, well, I own my personal home. That's awesome. That's a great place to start. But I strongly encourage you to see what other assets you can hold, sort of as a hedge to the inflation that's going to be coming, because we can all anticipate that inflation is going to be going. We're going to talk a little bit more about hyperinflation later and why we're expecting that and how that's going to affect the entire economy. But one place in for sure is that an asset will help you. If that asset grows, it'll keep up to inflation. And if you're at 8 to 10%, you're going to be going beyond inflation, which is great. Keep in mind that there's going to be a strong market, especially for houses under 400,000, because that's where the sweet spot is in Winnipeg. We saw the average house was 342,000. So we can anticipate that the strongest demand for housing is going to be in that area. So we may see different growth rates in different properties, depending if it's a larger multifamily, a small. And we also have to take into consideration this 8 to 10% value is across all of Canada. In Winnipeg, we may see 5. And at the same time, we may see 7 or 8, depending on what region we're in Winnipeg. One thing is for sure is we've had really good growth in the last year, and I anticipate that's going to be continuing into 2021. One thing we do know as well is there's less office jobs. Less people are going to work. It's been encouraged by government. It's been encouraged by businesses to try to see if they can get more production from people at home. And now this whole concept of by the hour is starting to disappear as people are more so being charged by the task. And that's how they're being rewarded in their remuneration is with doing jobs by the task. So what does that mean for us as real estate investors? Well, let's keep a few things in mind here. We've been adjusting some of our multifamily buildings to have strong internet in the building so that people can benefit from that. Tenants appreciate that because lots of them are at home. We're seeing more and more tenants getting rid of their cars because they just don't need to drive for a job anymore. They're using bikes. I've seen more bikes than ever. So we're providing lockups for bikes so that people have a bike rack where they can lock up. And that's something that's important to them. But what else are we seeing? Let's think about some of the costs that real estate investors are seeing now. In a multifamily building, people are working at home. That means they're leaving the lights on all day. They're flushing the toilet all day long, right? They've got the heat turned up if they're at home. And if the landlord is picking up some of those costs, you need to take that into consideration as you look at what is your business model, where are your costs, which belong to the tenants, and how does that affect you? Now let's talk about the flip side a little bit, not as much the buy and hold side. What are people wanting at home now when they're shopping for houses? They want a great office, right? They want a good chair. My goodness, we should all start chair companies. Everybody wants a good chair with great lumbar support now. Oh yeah, Vishal's got one, I see that. We bought a couple of those yoga ball chairs. Do you know how comfortable those are? You wouldn't believe it, but they're great. So I encourage you to get yourself a good, oh, there it is. There's the yoga ball. Vishal's got one too. So, you know, we're seeing the new home office. This is becoming a huge trend now. People want that space to be able to be comfortable as they work from home. They need a door they can close because there's kids, you know, as I say that, one of my kids came in with the dog in the office here. It's just the reality now for so many people as they're going through. So keep it in mind. Another thing that's been really important is gyms. You know, everybody needs equipment at home now. Oh yeah, look, Keith is working. Oh, here's one of the yahoos that I introduced a little bit earlier. Say hi, everybody.
Hello.
So it's important now to stay healthy. It's important to stay healthy. It's important to recognize that people are at home trying to stay healthy. They're walking, they're running, but things like kettlebells, battle ropes, dumbbells, people are finding out what can they do at home to stay healthy more and more. So that space in a house, as you stage it or prepare it for a buyer, is going to become more and more important. But at the same time, unfortunately, unemployment continues to grow. And as unemployment continues to grow, that means it's going to be harder for some people to be able to afford housing. I believe that this may cause an erosion on the high-end market. We've seen in the past when there are cash crunches that take place for people, we're going to see the high-end market hit the hardest and hit first. And those are the apartments that will start becoming vacant more often. I've always said that the critical mass in Winnipeg is very close to 1,500. Not many people want to rent for more than 1,500. If you get beyond that, most people are looking at ownership and alternative creative ways of owning. So I encourage everybody strongly to take a good look at your business model, a good look at your portfolio. If you are heavily invested in the $1,600, $1,700, $1,800 apartments in multifamily, look for a backup plan or a plan B, because you may need it if we do start seeing more demand on the lower end housing, which will in turn drive up the demand on those as well. So that may be happening as we see greater unemployment rise, as people aren't making as much money. Debt is taking a more important role. I read today that our debt to GDP ratio for our country is higher than it's ever been. It's close to 400%. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more in taxation, because that doesn't disappear on its own. That's going to be a joint effort of all of us as Canadians to work on that and to do our part. So I encourage you to just take a really good look at that business model and make sure that your business is able to weather the storm, because there may still be some more storms coming in terms of real estate, and to choose wisely when you do choose the buildings that you're going to be working on, and if your business model only works if you're in those very high income rates, you may want to look at what your option B and option C's are. So I said we'd be talking about taxes. I know it's a bad word and not everybody likes it, but we are going to be going into a period of hyperinflation. We know for a fact that the government of Canada has already printed an equivalent amount of money to the debt that's been taken on in 2020. That's to the tune of about $350 billion has been printed. And I think all of us recognize here, the more you provide of anything, the more you decrease its value. And I hope we're all on the same page with that, right? If you have 2 Ferraris for sale in Winnipeg, you can charge whatever you want and someone's going to pay it if they really want it. If you have 2,000 Ferraris for sale, you're competing just to try to find anybody who's going to buy it. So what happens is that power of the purchasing power as we produce more money goes down, because that currency just gets multiplied and multiplied and multiplied. So then what does that turn into? Well, it turns into really us seeing an increase because bananas, their value doesn't change, but the money you need to purchase the bananas does go up. And that's where that inflation is going to come from. So your bananas that are normally 62 cents a pound end up being 78 cents a pound. And then your loaf of bread that was $2 is now $3. And these are just some simple examples, but it's usually spread out right across the board. So now let's mix some of this higher taxes with higher wages, and let's see what happens there. Well, you say, Nelson, why higher wages? Well, what we do know is that the federal government has talked about increasing wages to try to provide a better quality of life, especially as people have been going through challenging times. And on the surface, that looks great to say, let's increase minimum wage. Everybody should make a minimum of $15 or $16 an hour. I think that's a great model to try to make people feel valued on that end. But we have to also keep in mind that when you increase the cost and the government regulates that, who's picking up that cost? It's not the government that's picking up that extra cost, right? It's going to be Walmart that has to pay their employees $3 an hour more, $4 an hour more. It's going to be the other big corporations that do. So what do the corporations do in turn in the businesses? Well, they have to increase their costs for product. They have to increase their costs for whatever services they're rendering, because they have to pay their employees more. So in turn, what happens is we see more inflation in the price of goods and in the price of services. But the advantage to the government in doing this, and I do understand that side, is that if they're paying people $15 an hour rather than 12, guess what they get to deduct on their checks?
More tax.
More income tax, right? The government, they're not foolish when they come up with this plan, and they're not doing it just to be heroes. They're doing it because they know they can charge more income tax and they make more money by making the corporations pay people more money. So it's actually quite brilliant in the way that it's orchestrated. But at the same time, it really does end up hurting the end user the most. Those are the people that get hurt the most. So we need to keep all of this in mind as we go through just kind of a summary of what we talked about today. I think it's important, just tying into what Leah said, is that you have to have a clear idea and think about what are you looking for specifically in your model. Take a good look at your model as 2021 is coming out. Is there some areas you can tweak? I talked about how we're offering internet in more and more of our buildings now. We have the bike racks that we're offering as we see less and less people parking. Where can you improve your model, whether it's flipping or it's buy and hold? What are your clients looking for to make them feel valued and to have that loyalty so they stay with you? We know that the number one risk to any real estate investor in the buy and hold game is, nobody's got it in the panel there, but it's in the chat, but it's vacancy, right? And you want to keep good quality clients, take care of them, treat them with value so they stay with you for a long period of time. So I just want to transition very quickly now in all of this, because we're talking about how you're going to win into 2021. Well, I hear people say all the time, well, how come this guy is doing so well? What is it that he's doing that I'm not doing, that he's having that success that I'd love to see? Well, some things that we can say are actionable steps, and I see it time and time again with students, is those that have hustle tend to win. Those that have daily habits and they have a commitment to their success, they've written down their goals, tend to be more successful. Those that take consistent action, and I don't mean just, consistent as much as daily action. What are my tasks that I do every day? Hey, how many of you had your salad today and had your workout today? Raise your hand. Even if we don't all see you, it's okay. Daily habits are important. And once we get into them, I decided a while ago to learn Spanish. And as a matter of fact, it was 647 days ago, I decided to learn Spanish. And without exception, I have done a Spanish lesson every day for 647 days, because I'm not going to set a goal without backing it up with some actionable steps that take me closer to that goal. Another thing that's common in those that succeed in real estate or any industry is they're educated. So what does that education mean? We talked about it a little bit at the beginning today. It's that academy that we offer for people that want to succeed in real estate. These will always be free, our sessions. We want to help you guys learn about real estate, but for an in-depth mentorship where we can teach you everything, we can't do that in 1 hour a month, guys. It's just not going to work. What we do have is the academy. We have the silver, the gold, and the platinum, which, as I said earlier, is similar to having a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, or a PhD. And we encourage you, if you want more information, to book a strategy session and we can tell you more about that. So if you do want to know what you're going to be learning in the academy, we can just really quickly look through it. Some questions that we get is, what am I going to do? Well, you're going to learn how to find a deal, the money. You're going to know how to negotiate, how to write an offer, how to find the money if you don't have the money, how to manage a renovation, managing a business, and you can go on and go on down through here. The reason we put all this together is based on what you were asking. We put this program together based on the questions that our students were bringing forward and that we found were the most important qualities needed to be successful in real estate investing. So this is a grassroots program made in Manitoba, and it's here to help those that want to succeed in real estate. Some of the FAQs that we get is it going to cost money? Sure does, just like university. I tell people it's about 1 year of university. We're not going to ask you for a 4 to 6 year commitment. We're going to ask you for commitment in months, maybe a year, and you're going to get that success that you want. It's not going to be expensive like university. It's not going to be like one of these traveling roadshow programs that comes through where you need to pay $9,000 a year to stay in the club. or you got to pay 75 or $100 per meeting just to get signed in. That's not the way we operate. We want to make it affordable so that people can have success. And that's important to us, is to share what we've learned with others. Are you going to have to work? Yeah. You know what? Anything in life takes an investment. And I always say there's 3 types of currencies you can spend, guys. You can spend your time, you can spend your money, and you can spend your energy. That's it. There are no other currencies. And you're going to have to work. It's going to take some work on your behalf. Will you have to get out of my comfort zone? Absolutely. Leah did a great job of breaking it down tonight with Keith about the different zones that you go through. In my new book that I'm going to be talking about in a minute, I call it the performance zone, right? You're going to be getting out of your comfort zone and moving into that performance zone where we're getting you to do something. You know, when you go to the gym and you haven't been there in a while, or you work a new muscle group and then the next day you're broken or you can't walk, or you try going up the stairs and you just look funny. It's going to feel a little bit like that when you're learning, but it's all for a good purpose in the end, because you're going to be a successful investor afterwards.
Yeah,
And
that's
finally,
me. That's me once a week, Nelson. Once a week, at least.
if anybody's
me almost every day.
You got to train with Keith. He's in CrossFit and he'd love to train with you. Vern's a runner. If you want to run, go run with Vern. You know, we've got lots of high performing individuals on the team here with a variety, a cornucopia of interests. And we all know that health is important, because if we haven't got health, guys, none of this matters, right? You want to take care of yourself. And finally, the question is, will I really get my first deal done? And the answer is yes. If you continue to work with us, we will work with you until you get that deal done. That's the guarantee, the team-made guarantee that we make you. So now it's up to you to take action, just putting aside a little bit of time. You know, 1 hour a day works out to be 1 day a week. That works out to be 4 days a month. That works out to be 52 days in a year, right? And if you look at that 52 days in a year, that's more than 2 months of full-time work when you think about it, on an average work month of 20 days. So, you know, just start somewhere. Go look at a property once a week, make 1 offer a month, but set some type of goals for yourself. And then in doing so, you're going to move forward, which is really important. So now we're going to get to some student success stories, because we love talking about the success of our students. The proof is really in the evidence of the success that they have. So this is Barrett and Janelle. So proud of them. I had the honor of coaching this couple. They have 2 young boys. They're just a fantastic people. So happy to see them win. They got a beautiful 3-unit building in Wolseley, negotiated it down to $260,000. I don't know how many of you are familiar with Wolseley up there, but you cannot buy anything in Wolseley for that price. You know, single family dwellings trade at $350,000 plus. So they got an incredible deal there. The projected renovation is $50,000, and the ARV, which is the after repair value, when the renovation is complete, it'll be worth $4.25 to $4.5. So this will be what I consider a perfectly articulated BRRRR model. So a buy, repair, rent, refinance, and then repeat with the same money. As a matter of fact, it looks like they're going to make up to $50,000 on the payout side after they refinance it. So not only do they end up having a property with $0 left in it, they get all of their money back, plus a payout of $50,000, which is technically non-taxable until it's paid back. And they can put that towards the next deal. How many people think they'd feel great about that at the end of the deal, walking away with $50,000 and a great cash producing property? So great job, Barrett and Janelle. Super proud of you. Another student of mine, Shaston, she lives in Brandon. And, you know, she bought 1 property last month, a triplex, and then she just bought another one this month. She actually bought it for $30,000. This thing is move-in ready. It's in great shape. She's doing a few touch-ups herself to it. And, you know, the best part of all of this is in the last less than 2 years, she's put together 8 doors. And I'm just so happy for her, because she has reached the point where she's financially independent. Right? That's that magical place you get to, guys, where the money coming in passively meets all your needs. There's no more need to work if you don't want to. You can be working if you choose to. She's still in her career, you know, but you get to that place where you're work optional, where if you technically stopped working, your lifestyle wouldn't change because the same amount of income is coming in. So in my book, I talk about the distinction between financial independence and financial freedom. And she has hit that mark of financial independence. I think that's something huge to celebrate when anybody gets to that place in life. Yeah, Keith's super happy, Vern's happy, and we're all happy for you, Shaston. I don't know if you're on the call or not, but we're super happy for the success you had. Another student that had success. There's so many here, and you're going to say, wow, that's a lot of success. That's what we want to see with our students, is a lot of success. Jason, great guy. He just finished a burr, orchestrated it very, very well. He just finished another burr this month that's being finished up. He's renovating another one that's going to be done. And he just bought a new flip this last month, which may turn into a burr. Sometimes you have the option of the two. So I just want to pause here for a moment and say, don't skip the steps when you're an investor. Really important to not skip the steps. Jason is smart. He followed the steps. He did everything that he needed to do. And it's in doing that you have the success, in not skipping those steps. So he's reached a place now where he's got a deal flow capacity coming. He's growing in that capacity so that as a deal is finishing, he's not having a big space of time in between deals. He's transitioning right into the next one, overlapping a bit. He knows how to use lenders. He knows how to use renovation crews, and he's got a nice flow going. So really proud of you, Jason. You just keep pumping out one deal after another. Keep going. That's awesome. Another one of my students, Dale Kreviazik. This is one of his new builds. He actually just bought a 20-unit building this last year in Osborne. He's now building a 5-unit. This is a picture of it. I went and took it. Hey, guys, he's using plywood. Nobody uses plywood anymore, right? Like, this thing is going to be built properly. So really proud of him. He's also going through the RTB above guideline rent increase on the 20-unit building. If you don't know what the RTB is and how to make a request for an above guideline rent increase, really important if you want to be a real estate investor. You don't want to do that wrong, or that will bite you in the butt, and it's going to hurt a lot when you get a bill for 20, 30, 40. I've heard of bills for well over $150,000 that investors have received because they didn't go through the proper steps. So important. So Dale is just on fire. He's moving fast. And that's what we love to see in our students, is that success. And I don't know if I have one more or not, but we've got a whole bunch more coming. Is there another one? This one of my students as well. Chibazor, he did amazing. He did the double dip. So instead of just buying one property at a time, he went ahead and got two and purchased the two properties. So I was there visiting with him just this week at one of his properties. We went through the whole renovation plan, costs, what he's going to be doing. So he's also a specialist in Airbnb. Connect with him if you want to learn more about Airbnb and chat with him. He's got some great systems in place. So super proud of Chibazor and the awesome burr jobs that he's doing. And finally, on my side, I wanted to congratulate Patrick Hilario. He had an amazing 2020. He did 6 perfectly orchestrated burrs in a row in 2020. While some people were sucking their thumbs at home and watching Netflix in fear, he decided to take action, and he just went at it like a carnivore. And he went and did one deal after another deal after another deal, every one of them putting the money in, pulling the money out. So Patrick is the second from the right in this photo. If you look on the right side, he's an exceptionally intelligent young man. I often say that if I would have had a 4th kid, it would be him, because we're so much alike. So very proud of him. His portfolio in 1 year has now topped almost $2 million. And you know, when earlier we were talking about the importance of that hedge against inflation, well, that's what he's growing on now, is in that portfolio of $2 million. So really proud of Patrick and what he's accomplished. So he's doing great. I'm even going to take it to the next level. And today we're welcoming him as a new coach with TeamMade. He has demonstrated himself to be exceptionally bright. He's an author. He wrote several books. He's a high school teacher. So we just have a whole lot in common. I was a high school teacher for 20 years as well. He's an expert in the burr model. He's shown consistent success over and over and over again. Do not challenge him in a battle to jiu-jitsu that will go very poorly for you, I'm sure. And he's also semi-pro breakdancer. So he's a really interesting individual, and he's financially free or financially independent. Every time somebody becomes financially independent, I celebrate because you've separated yourself from the requirements of the machine. So really happy for Patrick. Really looking forward to working with him and bringing him onto the team. And I hope all of you are looking forward to working with Patrick as well. In that same vein, we want to welcome Mike Reimer. Some of you may have seen online. He is also joining us on the coaching team at TeamMade. Mike has had an exceptional amount of success. You know, he's done very well investing. Keith, you want to double check and see if Patrick or Mike are on the call yet? I don't know if
Mike is actually on the call right now.
Is he?
Yep.
Great. So I'll just finish the intro and then maybe Mike can chat a little bit and say hi to everybody if you can unmute him when I'm done here. But, you know, he started investing about at 20 years old. How many people here would have loved to start investing at 20 years old? Right?
I did.
There you go. Vern's got it.
I started when I was 19 and Vishal started when he was 18.
So I guess you guys are seeing here the law of age, right? The earlier you can start in life, the greater runway you have for that success, right? So Mike is an amazing individual. He's been building for 10 years now. He owns multiple businesses, one of the sponsors with Vulcan Construction. He's been successful in real estate flips, in multifamily, and even in commercial, and does a lot of joint venture partnerships. So there he is with his lovely family, also very successful with family, as you can see. So Mike, say hi to everybody, and you're welcome to say a few words.
Hi, everyone. It's an honor to be here. I look forward to getting to know everyone a bit more, and hopefully I get to see all your faces soon in person. Feel free to reach out and touch base if you guys want to talk.
You bet.
Awesome. Thanks, Mike. We're super honored to have you on the team. You're just an amazing addition, and I know we're going to work well together, and that you're going to help a whole lot of people change their lives. I'm not sure if Patrick's in the group. Did anybody see if Patrick was there? If you wanted to say
I don't believe Patrick is on at the moment.
No. Okay. Well, if he does pop in later, maybe we'll get a chance to chat with him. Some of you may not even know who I am. I didn't really get much of a chance to introduce myself at the beginning. My name's Nelson Camp. I'm an author as well. I had 3 books published. I have my 4th one that will be published next month called Lifestyle by Design. I also was a teacher for 20 years as I grew my portfolio in real estate. I've won many awards in real estate investment for different strategies that I've used. And I'm local, was born in Churchill, lived a lot of my life in northern Manitoba, Saskatchewan. I'm a prairie boy, and I just love Manitoba. I do love local, and that's part of who I am. My next book that's coming out, you guys actually are the first ones to get to see publicly the cover. So it's the dark blue one on the left there, Lifestyle by Design. That's the next book that I've got coming out. The other 2 are a couple of the other books that I've put out in the past. Really excited about this book, Lifestyle by Design. It has a lot to do with real estate, but a lot to do with entrepreneurship, mindset, and really being able to change your life and take charge of your life and become the author of your life. Really honored to have Brandon Turner also, who is the host of the Bigger Pockets podcast. I'm sure many of you have heard of him. We're now the official Bigger Pockets local meetup here in Manitoba. So really honored to have that position. If you don't listen to Bigger Pockets, I strongly encourage you to do so. It's the most listened to real estate podcast in the entire world. A lot of American content. It is American based. But, you know, we have just, we're very fortunate in technology to be able to learn such an immense amount of stuff. We have millions of, Bigger Pockets has millions of listeners every single week. And they have content from world-class investors on the show. I encourage you strongly to keep learning. There's lots of inspirational stories, and that's just an honor for us to be able to bring that brand here and to join it with our brand as we look forward to growing TeamMade over the next years and Bigger Pockets. So Brandon's an outstanding individual. I consider him a friend. I'm looking forward. I was supposed to go see him in Maui last year. Didn't work out, unfortunately, like so many other trips got canceled. But I'm very confident and hoping that it will happen this year.
Nelson, what do you mean? It looks like you're in Maui right now.
Yeah. Looks
Also,
good.
Nelson, I couldn't help but notice that beautiful photo on the back of your book.
On the back of my book.
Yeah.
Which logo?
Was that by Penner Photography?
That photo that Ray took? Yes, Ray did take that photo. So if anybody's looking for evidence of photos, that is a photo that Ray took. Thanks, Vern, for pointing that out. Yeah, Ray Penner's an amazing photographer. So let's keep going with more investor success stories. Vern, can you take over here?
Oh, yes. Keith, if you could find Leslie, she may want to make a comment here as well. I had the pleasure and privilege of coaching Leslie and Dan Stanier. And in their first 13 months with the Academy, I was absolutely amazed. And in one of the projects right across the street from my house, I observed the Stanier family, 4 generations, talk about support right in the house, and 5 flips in their first 13 months with us. 5 flips. The last one was absolutely perfect, 110 years old, and that entire property from top to bottom was brand new, precision work, a shining example of Stanier Homes. Are you there, Leslie?
Yeah, I'm here. Thank you, Vern.
I can't help but saying that, Leslie. When I walked through that last property, oh my God, I have never seen a renovation so precise and precisionally done. Beautiful. Thank you. What would you say to anyone watching us tonight, Leslie?
Well, I would say thank you. I'm honored for this Investor of the Month award, and we couldn't have done it without you, Vern. Starting in the very beginning with our very first flip, I mean, we learned so much. Fortunately for us, the first one was right across the street from your house, so we had full access to your coaching right through buying it to renovating it and selling it, and we've just been moving on since then. So.
Well, I know you couldn't thank me enough when I found that property for you and negotiated that price and just handed it over to you. I wasn't interested in any assignment fee, nothing like that. So thank you, Leslie. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks for being here tonight. And next one. Yes, this is something. Keith, can you unmute Alla? Alla
Yep.
Bernstein. I've had such a pleasure working with this lady and her husband. Joined us about 4 years back and has been a ball of fire ever since. And I nominated Alla Bernstein to the Academy for Investor of the Year for 2020. We have ordered the plaque that she's going to have permanently for herself to keep as Investor of the Year. In the year 2020, she added 40 doors to her portfolio in less than 12 months. And she also did 2 flips, and as well worked with one of our junior proteges and did a couple flips with him. Alla, are you there?
Alla, you just need to unmute yourself.
What I found in working, yes, there you are.
Yeah.
How are you?
I'm
I
good,
know
thanks.
It surprised you when I called you earlier and said this was coming out. So we have ordered a permanent plaque for you to keep and hang in your home. And I'm just so honored to be working with you and mentoring you, Alla. And the energy that you bring out was the same energy when I met you 4 years ago. You had been coached by someone else, one of the traveling real estate teachers, and you realized you needed help. And you just sat down and realized that, and then all of a sudden, what happened?
Oh, all of a sudden, I met you.
How did you meet me? How did you meet me?
I still believe it's from universe. It was meant to be, because I was looking for someone who I can meet and just ask my questions and maybe get some support. I couldn't even imagine how the support will turn when I met you. It was just amazing.
You were sitting there thinking about getting help, and up popped a message from me.
Yeah, I could not imagine it will be such an amazing journey for me, and
Oh,
it still have been. Yeah.
mhm. Any advice to anyone watching tonight?
Get a great mentor.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And for anyone watching, Ala Bernstein, as some of you know, the Bird 2-for-1 coaching team, myself, Vishal Guliani, and Keith Gordon is with us as well. We do a workshop every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. and you're all invited for tomorrow. Ala Bernstein will be our guest speaker, and she's going to tell us how she did all of this in 2020, as well as a few other things. And we'll just, the coaches panel tomorrow night will interview her and just throw out some tidbits. So you're all welcome to join us for that. And plus, we're going to be talking about some of the new products we're bringing on at the Academy, especially going into the commercial real estate market now this year, as we were talking about earlier. Okay. Okay, I guess we're going back to you, Keith, or you want me, what we have up now?
Back to Nelson. Back to Nelson to carry us through to the through to the finale.
Okay, Nelson, take us to the end.
All right. Well, big congratulations to Ala. That's an awesome accomplishment for 1 year. Super proud of you, Ala. And you know what? We're super proud of all of our students.
Yeah.
I think that's what brings us the most pride, is to see the success that people are having. Because every time we know people are having success, it's not just success, it's changing their lives, and it's generational wealth that's being created for themselves and their families. And so we love that. We encourage any of you, if you're thinking about taking action, book a strategy session with any of us here. Here's our emails. You can reach out to us directly, and we'd be happy to have a strategy session with you and see if there's, free, no charge at all, see if there's any way to help you. Some of the next steps you might want to consider taking now is remember what your plan is for 2021. And if you don't have one, really important, come up with one. Just because you haven't done it yet, it doesn't mean the year's a write-off. There's lots of the year left. Write a plan down. Make this year the best year yet. Learn something new, take action, make some decisions, just like we talked about today with Leah, that importance of being decisive and saying, this is going to be the best year, and here's what I'm going to do to make it the best year as you take ownership of that success. We encourage you to attend our next meeting, February 22nd. We're going to be getting together again. We're going to be having a great time. And just to finish off, we want to make sure you guys always remember, we do believe in it being team made. We work together. There's deals within the group all the time. We have an online mastermind that we use. Deals, money, partnerships, referrals. Really important to us to see the students have success, and all of us have success. Don't forget about the events that happen on Tuesday nights and Saturday mornings. Vern and Vishal are the ones that are hosting those. So enjoy them. Keith is going to be there too. Ask questions, come out and learn. Lots of opportunity. We have a few minutes left here. If there's anybody who had any questions about anything tonight, we didn't have a chance yet to ask, but if there's anything, you can put it in the chat box, anything you want to talk about, any questions, anything that wasn't clear. We're all here on the panel able to help you out or answer any of those questions.
I think German had a question. His hands was up for a while. Are we able to get that question typed out, or maybe give him the mic? Or?
I can give him the ability to speak. Sure.
His hand is up. That's what indicated that he had a question.
Get him on.
Sorry, I'm just looking for him in the list of attendees.
Yeah, anybody has a question, either type it in or put your hand up.
There we go. German, you can unmute yourself now and ask your question if you like.
Maybe he's not there. If there are any questions, you're welcome to put it in the chat box. We're going to get to it. And if there's other questions that come up after, you're welcome to reach out to us. Any of us would be happy to get in touch with you and help you with those questions. That's why we're here. We're happy to help you. If you have any questions about the Academy, you're welcome to reach out and let us know.
Yes, there is a question here from one of my guests. Mustafa is asking, do we have students who are out of province? Yes, we do. We actually have a coach who is based in Calgary.
Mhm.
We have students actually in the U.S. as well. Vern, maybe you want to speak to some of the students out of Winnipeg, out of
Yeah,
Manitoba.
what we're doing now, and since COVID came along and doing things on Zoom and doing things more virtual, now we can basically, all of the strategies that we use with the experience I've had in the US over the last 10 years in 9 different states and Manitoba, there's a lot, total similarities in the strategies. The strategies work no matter where you are. We just need to understand the principles of operation, the laws, the differences, little subtle differences like that. But it's very easy, whether it's Canada, United States, anywhere in Canada, anywhere in the United States, we can take care of you. Other countries, I'd have to learn a little bit more about the situations there. But it's a relative easy transition to learn if you have someone who's done it. And Keith has done it, I've done it. I believe we're going to be bringing on some more coaches that are familiar with it. I believe Chris McKenzie is probably working both sides of the border. And we can chat with them about that as well. Okay.
Yes, and now we have a question from Ray Penner. If you are willing to share, what is a big goal or vision that the Team Made Real Estate Academy will be tackling in the year 2021? Good question, Ray.
I think we
That's a
just
great
touched upon that topic as well. That's one of our goals.
Yeah, so I was going to say, Valen, feel free to hop in here if you like. I mean, we have just added 2 new coaches this very month here in Winnipeg. We've just added a coach in Calgary. We've added a commercial real estate course. So the amount of things that we're adding, we're going to be, again, with the move, as Nelson alluded to, with the move to more online that's been dictated to by the COVID, that we haven't been able to meet in person. We're doing more online work. We're going to be having all of our content developed as video, as audio content for people to learn remotely anywhere in the world.
Mhm.
And yes, Valen says, I'm on point. Well, I guess I was already. We have a question there for Alla to answer. Alla, at a high level, how did you manage to buy your properties 40 doors this year? And was it 40 single families? Was it a single 40 unit building? What exactly did you do? It was just sort of a high level question.
Oh, it is it's a mixed property on Grand Beach. 18 doors motel and another 8 cottages, I believe.
And your church,
Very
right?
And a church building and redevelopment project. Yeah, 8 doors.
Mhm.
Yes. And there was a follow-up question here for you, Alla. Did you use hard money or private cash, or was there a joint ventures, mortgages? What did you do on the money side of things?
Okay, because it's 3 different projects, so there's 3 different strategy. We used private lender for a down payment. We use for a redevelopment project in Winnipeg. We use hard money lenders, and for a Grand Beach, it's vendor takes back.
Okay.
Maybe tomorrow on a call you can share all your secrets and go a bit more in depth tomorrow night on that one, Alla.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So anyone who's interested in learning more about Alla's deals in 2020, please join us tomorrow. We have a
Another
follow-up question here from Mustafa is asking. He's interested here the panelist view on the latest CMHC, so the Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation, predicting up to a 50% decline in real estate prices. He himself doesn't see that happening, and I'm sure all of our panelists have thoughts on that one as well.
Yeah, I don't see that happening. Nowhere near that. In fact,
I was going to say, with mortgage rates, interest rates, people are refinancing at 1.5%. If money is that close to being free, prices are not going to be
So-
going down.
Okay.
I do want to
yeah.
add that, sorry, when we buy properties, what we're doing is we want to make sure that they're the right properties. They're cash flowing from day one. For example, say you're buying condos, they're going down in value sometimes. But if you buy the right condo with the right fundamentals, the right financial statements to it, and it goes down in value, your rents are still going to be increasing. I'm buying single family homes, they're the right homes. I'm not trying to make a quick buck overnight here. I'm trying to make a long-term financial plan. So I look at myself within 5, 10, 15, 20 years. And if I bought it right, I added the right renovations, and I'm cash flowing day one, it can go down in value all it wants. It doesn't matter to me because I know at the end of the day, I'm cash flowing strong. And in the long run, I'm going to be winning through real estate. So it's like this little, it's like a cycle, market cycle. You see Tesla go up and down, Bitcoin go up and down, everything moves up and down. But it's about the long-term strategy and your eye on the prize. Long-term is what I want to focus on there.
Yeah, I mean, frankly, if property fell by 50%, I mean, the savvy investor would buy, with the amount of money I've got to invest, I would just buy twice as many, right?
You know,
I think-
further to that, guys, what I'm seeing as a trend right across the country, not only here, but in the US as well. The cities, yeah, in the larger cities, even Winnipeg, the prices may go down a little bit. But what is going up is all of the outskirts. Those prices are going up. We're seeing outside the perimeter, we are seeing 25 sold signs and 3 or 4 still for sale. And I've never seen that in my lifetime. And that is happening around every major metro area across the country, not only here, but in the US. That's what's happening. That's what COVID has done. People want to get away from the large gatherings. And that's what we're seeing. So they could be right that maybe the house pricing in Winnipeg, Central especially, it may go down, but it will not go down 50%. There's no way it will. Right?
I think it's also important to recognize that sort of at the beginning of the meeting when we had today, we talked about how real estate is very regional, you know, and these averages that we see across the country when they're talking about predictions of a growth of 8 to 10%, we have to also remember that that's in different locations, right? We don't know what's going to happen in Vancouver. We don't know what's going to happen in Toronto. But if somebody was concerned about values going down, I think personally, I'd be far more concerned in areas where we see values that are going above cost of living. You know what I mean? Where it just is becoming no longer affordable to afford housing in places like that. That's where defaults will start happening more often. That's where we're going to see corrections take place. You know, when we look in places like Winnipeg, we're not that far above the cost to build really on real estate here. There is a margin on top of it, but really there isn't a whole lot of room for the market here in Winnipeg and Manitoba in many areas to go down. So I think that's why a lot of people is the boring. We talked about this earlier today. It's boring, right? In Winnipeg, the real estate is boring. We don't see the up and down fluctuations that we see like stock markets. We don't see, you know, with the announcement of the pipeline being axed by our US friends, or I don't know if I'm supposed to say friends anymore, but the fact that tens of thousands of jobs have been lost in Alberta now because of that. Billions of dollars have already been invested in the pipeline going to the US and the project's done. So things like that will have a huge impact on real estate, and being in a place where we're less, we're not as oh, there's one of the Yahoos again. We're not in as much danger of seeing those types of corrections happen. I think we can be quite confident. So I'm not sure where you heard that from, Mustafa, but you know, everybody's got a piece of advice. Make sure you're listening to where that person's getting their advice from. What is their pedigree and track record, and why do they believe that's going to happen? I think that's important in any situation.
Very good points, Nelson.
Michael Raman, do you want to chime in here on your thoughts on the CMHC predicting a 50% decline in real estate prices? What is your crystal ball saying? If this happens, is that going to change your investing strategy, or is it not going to happen?
Yeah, you're on the construction side too. So speak to what it costs to build versus what you can buy for right now.
I think regardless of what prices do, the sophisticated investor is going to look for opportunity in the market that they're investing in. Sometimes there's a gold mine in your backyard and you dig in your backyard. Sometimes that gold mine might be somewhere else. So if Winnipeg, let's say, stops being a place that I want to invest for the strategies that I want to use, then you need to go find the backyard that's going to produce what you're looking for. Prices are constantly fluctuating, like you said. I think prediction is a bit of a fool's game. No one can see the future. If we did, we wouldn't have this problem. So if you invest with good fundamentals, if you have equity and cash flow from day one, you're going to be head and shoulders above the unsophisticated investor.
Yeah. Good.
Awesome. Well, it looks like that's all that we've had for questions tonight. So once again, thank you for joining us, everybody, on a Monday night. We look forward to these meetings every month. If you have other questions, ideas for content that you would like on our meetings, please send it to us in feedback. There's all of our emails. We want to put these together for you to answer questions that you may have. So from all of us at TeamMade, thanks so much for joining us, everybody. And we look forward to seeing you next time. Have a great night.
Thank you, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night. Thank you.
Good night.